what inspired me to first of all have this meeting with you is that you are one of the few Germans in a highly African dominated church.
Yes.
And that is very... Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have Deacon Daniel here. I met him in church, and today the conversation is going to gear towards his Christian life. So I'll first like to ask him to introduce himself, and then we'll start with the interview. So Deacon Daniel, you are welcome.
Hey. Yeah, as you heard, my name is Daniel Schwalbe actually.
So you are a native German?
I'm a native German, yes. My English is not too good. I hope you forgive me that.
So what inspired me to first of all have this meeting with you is that you are one of the few Germans in a highly African dominated church.
Yes.
And that is very inspiring because you are committed to the things of God, and you're even a deacon, and that is amazing. So that is why I wanted to know your Christian life. What motivated you to stay with your faith, even though Germany is a Christian dominated country, but now not so many people are following the Christian path. So that made me want to know your faith, your challenges, what made you pursue this path. Yes, so that's the reason why I invited you for this meeting.
Yeah, also Germany may not be so Christian anymore. Actually, yes, there are many Christians hidden in Germany, I would say, but the public life, the life of the majority is no more Christian. Even if the people are baptized or have been baptized as children, they come in contact with church only for the baptism, for the confirmation, and for the marriage. But the rest of the life is has nothing to do with Christianity actually. Even though there is still a lot of social impact from the church, because the value system in Germany is very strongly influenced by the church. Also they strive to be good human people, and they actually strive to be better than the church, and the church set the standard which they try to compete. So what made me sticking to my Christian faith? I had an experience as child. As I was born in a Christian family, and we went to Sunday school. Then they told us you have to give your life to Christ, and then I realized I had never done that. So then I said, then I tried to give my life to Christ when I was alone in my bed.
Wow.
But something told to me it was not real. It wasn't real. It didn't happen. So something today I know it was the Holy Spirit, but at that time I didn't know. Told me that was not enough. So after some time praying in my bed in the night to give my life to Christ, finally I took heart, and there was some party. I went to my mother and kidnapped her into the room, and I said I have to give my life to Christ. So then we knelt down, we prayed shortly that I give my life to Christ, and in that moment when I did that, zack, something changed inside of me, and it has stayed until today. So I know what it means to be born again. Later came a lot of other experiences to it, some of them which I still don't understand up to today. But I know that Jesus is real, that Christ is real. It is sometimes not understandable why we experience some things in life, and why things appear as if there would not be as in the Bible. So actually I don't believe that it's so that they are not like in the Bible, just that maybe we misunderstand sometimes something. But I know that despite sometimes not everything going what we want, He is real, and He has the power to completely transform the inside of a human being.
But before you go further, I want to ask you, at what age did you have this experience?
At 9, with the age of 9.
Wow, 9 years. So you were brought up in a Christian home. So every Sundays you go to church?
Yes.
Okay, but at that time you didn't give your life to Christ. It was when you were in your room that you gave your life to Christ?
Also when I was with my mother and prayed, this is the time when I gave my life to Christ. This was a before witness, a decision before a witness. At this time, my mother. It was enough, but until I did it not in public with a witness, something told me it didn't work. It was nothing.
Okay.
It meant anything.
So you had a personal conviction, and
Yes.
you told your mom to come to your room, and then she helped you give your life to Christ.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So, as a child, as you have given your life to Christ, how did you exercise your faith? Were there challenges? Did any bad influence meet you on the way or something?
Yes, there were challenges, actually of two sorts, I would say. One challenge was rather easy. It came from the authorities and from, in the GDR, I come from East Germany. There was, as you know, probably the Communist Party was ruling, and the state religion was Marxism, and which are very much against anything that has to do with religion. So we were also supposed to learn Marxism in school, and we had to do examinations in that, and so I always did the examination and said, but that's not what I believe, that I do it because it's demanded from me here.
But what's Marxism?
Have you heard from Karl Marx?
Karl Marx, yes.
Yes. So he is actually the founder of this communist movement, which was very strong in the last century, and today we still see the remnants of it in China. So Karl Marx founded it. Later, Karl Marx and Engels, they did the theory of it. Then there were a lot of movement ongoing where they tried to make revolutions here and there, but it didn't work out.
Okay.
And the first successful revolution was the one in Russia in 1917, I think. I hope I'm not wrong. My history teacher will beat me. With Lenin, who the first who successfully established a communist regime somewhere in the Soviet Union. That was the Soviet Union. Yes.
But can you give a summary of what Marxism was during your time?
I learned that in school. Also, they have several. This is a whole system of belief. They have several documents. Also, they say that human being they say the evil in the world comes because of private possession of means of production. Production. What is that in English? Production system. As means to produce something. So what they are saying is, an individual should not be allowed to own a company.
Okay.
The company must be state-owned, or it must be what is it in English? Union-owned. That never one person alone owns enough possession to produce things, because there's if you have the power to produce something, you have economic power, and they say the economic power should not be in the hands of individuals. That was one pillar of the theory.
Marxism.
Yes, and even China followed it up. I don't know until when exactly, but they changed now. They changed, and since they changed it, they are since a couple of decades, they are now economically successful. But before they weren't.
Exactly.
Because Marxism all over the world kept people in poverty, because it just does not work to forbid individuals to exercise their creativity, and you have to give creative people also possession, so they have the power to they need the power to control what they are doing.
Exactly.
So, but this is one pillar of it, and of course there were more. Then they said religion is opium for the people. They were very much against religion. They believed in they say we are materialists. Anything, so the mind and the soul and anything that a human being has is derived from physical. It's like the human being is a machine, just they don't know how to understand it, how it works. But so there's definitely no God, and also soul and spirit, what everybody can perceive. It is just a function, a biological function. That was the part which I, as a Christian, had a conflict with. The other one is okay. That is their problem if they believe in no private property for something else. For an individual, that is nothing which is maybe conflict with Christian faith, but this part of materialism it conflicted. So I was also called out in school to justify my faith before all, and so
Wow.
and they were saying, how can you say that the human being is not coming from stemming from monkeys if all the scientists have found out, and you are a small person?
Wow.
How can you tell? Of course, I couldn't tell, but but I said I really I felt God myself, so I know He is real.
He's
That's what
real.
I said. Yeah.
Wow. So you came up to say that I want to defend my faith, or they pointed you out?
Both. Also, the teachers pointed me out, and I had to defend my faith.
Yeah.
And before the classmates, I myself talked, and I was very zealous because I had a strong father who he had a way to convince us and to
Wow.
also be very convinced.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Mhm.
So after this period, you came to your secondary school, or you started working?
I came to my I came to my secondary school. This secondary school was at the same time a vocational school.
Okay.
And during this time there was then the change. Also the first year was still full under the communist, and then in the second year, during the second year there was the change. Then everything changed. So the third year was already free.
Wow. What are your challenges that you faced whilst growing up?
The one was
So
from friends. There was some bad influence from friends, which taught me, even though I was already born again, that lying is okay. I had one friend what was bad, yes, and he trained me to lie. I learned lying. Yes, when I was his company spoiled me really. Then finally my father found out, and he did some. Actually, he did not discipline too much, but he had a way of talking to you that, and of course, he forbid me also to deal then with that friend. But he had a way of talking to me that made me understand. What did I do? Why did I do that? This guy was actually all the time just using me, and I didn't realize it. Yeah, it was true. He was just using me, and I didn't realize it. And I repented in my heart, and I changed it. But that was a challenge. Yeah,
Wow.
It was a challenge from friends.
Yeah. So you allowed your father to guide you in the right path. Yeah.
I had no choice.
Yeah, because sometimes some adults, or like in this day and age, when you reach 18, some people think that they are of age, they can make their decisions on their own. So it is very good that you listen to your father.
Oh, that was all before the age of 18. Then there came other challenges, but this was all what I talked was now really the youth and the time where I was under the Communist Party, and the time where I was still at home. These were the challenges. Then with 19, I left my father's house.
Okay.
I was 19 or 20. Yeah, I was almost 20. Then to study. Yeah, then another life started. This had, of course, completely other challenges, and yeah.
So that was your university.
Mm-hmm.
So what challenges, as you started your university program, what challenges did you face as a Christian?
Oh, and there the challenges actually come from the Christians. This time was already time where there was the so-called Wende, also the change, where we had the communist regime was gone. We had now freedom of opinion and freedom of religion, everything. So from the government side, there was nothing. I was allowed to study, which might have become a problem in the East.
Mm-hmm.
But I joined people who said they want to pray for Germany.
Okay.
And the guy was an African, by the way. That was he was the leader, and the rest only Germans. Yeah, and this created a lot of challenges, and things happened which up to today I cannot fully explain and fully understand, and that also delayed my study quite a lot, because the first 2 years were well, but then I got into this prayer thing, and I spent very much time in praying instead of studying, so I delayed very long, and it was not only good. I was also I didn't take it too serious.
And your coursework?
My coursework, yes.
Okay.
Sometimes I worked. I just made one course in a half year. The other time I worked, and then the rest I did nothing. So this was the temptations that I didn't have at home when I was under the control of my good father, they came all later.
Yeah.
All the temptation that the young men have, so I also had them.
The temptations. But you said that a young man who is even an African, you said, what did he do?
He founded a group.
Like a Christian group.
Yes, later it was he said it's a church, and we did a lot of prayer there. And but he was even here one time.
Okay.
And after he was here, and I wanted actually, because we couldn't go on in this small group, we couldn't go on. I wanted to come here. I wanted. I said, this way we are doing, it doesn't lead us nowhere, because he also told us to leave all the churches because they are all bad and none is doing the typical thing. Also, if people start to pray or people start to do something for God, but then if they're then not accepted in the church where they are, then can easily happen that they themselves depart and do their own thing, like happened, if you may know, have you heard from Branham? It's like the same thing, just smaller, with fewer people, and then they do their own thing, and you cannot stand alone as a Christian.
Exactly.
And that's why after several years not going to church at all, I have not gone, because the churches, I was told the churches are all evil.
Evil, yeah.
I saw, and it was also true, I saw a lot of things in the church that were not right. But I had to realize that it is better to suffer and to overlook the bad things in the church than to live alone as Christian in the world. This is even worse. And then I came here and brought this guy also here. But as soon as it is typical in the Christian world, two pastors, they don't understand, and our pastor, senior pastor, and him, they don't know each other. But he already said, I have to decide. So my leader there, I have to decide. I decided, so then they kicked me out.
Wow.
So now I'm here alone, and the contract is completely broken. I don't even know where the people are anymore. I don't have answers. There's nothing.
Wow. And that boils down to my question, like okay, less than 10 native Germans in ICC, or very few. So what motivated you to come to an African-dominated church and not a native German church?
Yeah, we were praying for Germany, and because of that, and I still believe that the prayer was genuine, despite of things which crept in, because we were standing alone and couldn't make it. The prayer was genuine, and we saw also the problems or the temptations that the Germans were facing, and the sins that they are there. And to go to the Africans was something like to flee.
Okay.
Because later, so now that I'm here, I've come to know the African problems and the African sins and so, but at least from the German ones, they are fairly free. The German one, you can say, at that time, now it's much, much better, but at that time I could say it was pride. Pride was the problem. And we saw the pride in all the churches, and it has changed much. I thank God, really the prayer has helped. I am now also in the German church, and the people have repented. At the time passed, we were not allowed to pray in Alkmaar Straße, for example. We were not, we was this group. You couldn't worship like that. But now it's much more open. You are also accepted as an African person in the German church. But at the time when we started, it was really difficult. So it has changed. It has really changed. But in the beginning it was not. We saw all this pride, and I felt more close to the Africans because we were taught to be humble, and they were humble, and because they know how to pray. And I have learned also this kind of prayer, and I found it here the first time, and I saw, it is similar to the prayer I have learned in this group, which I could not, which I have found nowhere else in no German church, but it is here. And I realized it was not an invention of this guy, it was just the African way of praying. It is very similar. The way I learned it from this guy was, we got a scripture, then for 1 hour we prayed in tongues, 1 hour, 1:15 or whatever, and then made break. Here they make it a little bit different. They make the breaks a bit more often and give a word, but it is almost the same. You give a word and then pray about it in tongues, and then the next word comes. Just the time was a little bit different. We made it for 1 hour, then break, and then another hour. That's more differences. That doesn't matter. But this system of taking the word of God as a foundation and then praying in tongues about it. I haven't found it in the German church. Maybe nowadays there are some who do it, but I don't know them. I'm out of the system. But the Africans did it. So I felt home here because of that.
That's nice.